Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to episode 30 of Burning Crowns, the Burning Wheel role-playing game. I'm Eric, your host and Gamemaster today, and we were playing some Burning Wheels. We're doing some intriguing, some kingdom building. We weren't available to play last week because I was at Go Play Northwest, which is super good, a lot of fun. If you followed me on Twitter, you saw all the awesome pictures of all the games that I ran and played. I'll talk about that later. But anyways, let's kind of jump in and say how we're all doing, who we're playing, and what our beliefs are, as we do, because we're playing the Burning Wheel. So that's a belief-driven role-playing game for those who don't know, and so beliefs are super important, and that's what we're doing. So, yeah, let's start with AP Gaming Reel. AP, let's talk about Ronald Swan. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about everything you want to talk about.
I have a busy week coming up, so I might as well just talk about that.
Sure,
Monday night, I have a one-shot with Eric where we're going to play some Star Wars Age of Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday night, I have a one-shot where I'm going to play a Magical Girls RPG called Sparks of Light. And the cast is fucking insane. That's all there is to it. I was like, we're going to play some nice Sailor Moon girls. And they're like, no, I'm Super Sundare. I have a neck beard. And I'm Bran of Tarth. And I'm just like, all right, great. Okay. Also, I'm 23, and I'm like, all right, great. It's a high school game, but we'll go with it.
Oh, boy.
This is going to go flawlessly. Don't worry about it.
Ronald Swan has things that he believes. Do you want to do that now, or we finish some introductions?
Let's do it now. And
right.
Everyone who's following along for the beliefs, I put exclamation point beliefs, and there's a document that you guys should all be able to look at that has all the beliefs listed there. So that's cool.
Very well. I want to also state, by the way, it's hot literally everywhere in the world right now, and we're all dying.
Not here. Not in Seattle.
Go fuck yourself.
All right.
Ronald Swan's beliefs. Expansion and acquisition is the heart of civilization. Once the building of the capital Karasuna has begun, I will invite important business, political, and noble leaders for pleasure retreats. Invitation must be sent to find the least liked and least competent of all these suitors, then have them brought round trip to fight me in a duel. This will ensure a closer relationship with Miven and its social gateway. I have my enemies outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, outplanned. They're going to make an all-out stand, and I'm going to need a right-hand man. I will draw to me a general who is elegant and eloquent, without no embellishment, to maintain my armies. Surviving is not living, and creating a city is not a country. Something must unify my people, a rallying cry to march towards, and a culture of excellence to maintain after my death. Magic is more than just a simple sorcerer, and knowledge is more than a single advisor. I will see whom the bard Millions has brought for me, and convince this person to gather and shape the young gifted as I choose. I am responsible to the people. It's really hard to see with the glasses on, by the way.
Appreciate the work.
I thought you were struggling. You were struggling, but you were hiding it. So, good job. Thank you. Cool. So, yes, Ronald Swan, our resident rich expansionist. Cool. Let's just go around the clock here, counterclockwise. What's the other word for counterclockwise? Before there was clocks, it was sundials.
Anti-clockwise.
No, before clocks, it has a word. It's
spinward and anti-spinward, my friend.
No, it's like dimwat or something like that. Okay, anyways. Sam.
Hello. I'm Sam, aka Wizened Fool. I now actually have a Twitter after being ruthlessly mocked for not having a Twitter for almost a year now. And that's at the Wizened Fool because someone else is squatting on my rightful place with that handle.
I mean, you should have gone with Wizened Fooled Real.
That's
a suggestion.
Oh man,
that's a good one.
But yeah, I've had a good week. I upgraded my mic and my headphones. I got a Yeti, and I played 2 awesome one-shots with AP and with Eric, and I celebrated a birthday, so it was pretty good, all said.
All things said and done, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I also believe things, or rather, the prophet Sulius Aurelius does. And I made a couple of edits just for you, Categorize, but I didn't use any of those nasty colons or semicolons.
I have to wear this as punishment. So bear with
what
me.
The fuck?
Bear with me real quick, guys.
What? So my first belief is only the strong wall shelters humanity from the storm. This colony represents a chance for Swan to unite humanity. Thus it must succeed. The crusade laid before me is clear. I shall walk through the shadow of the dark forest, but will fear no evil. The Lord is with me. My second belief is my brother is a proud man, sometimes to a fault. I have not forgotten the service rendered by Mason. I shall ensure that she receives their just boons and make it known that I still believe that they are needed in what is to come. Belief 3, true faith deserves to be rewarded, for only by giving light will darkness disappear. I shall show the untouchables that those who truly believe shall surely be made hale and whole by the grace of the Lord. And my zealotry belief is, at the dawn of time, Abadar laid forth the holy codex of laws and traditions that would govern the heavenly kingdoms for all eternity. We must follow the great reformers who glimpsed the edges of the lawmaker's holy order to perfect our wanting civilization. I have been given a holy charter by Abadar. Word of this quest must be recorded, and new scripture must be drafted.
Yeah, that's not in any way going to be a problem. That's good. Awesome. And last but certainly not least.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Daniel, and today I will not only be the last but also the least, because opposed to these wonderful gentlemen, I have nothing interesting to report at all. I have had a meh week of entirely comprised of nothing. So I'll just go into this because this is way more interesting. So yeah, let's talk about Mason. Mason is boasting the following beliefs for today, mostly unchanged from last time, but for your benefit, here we go. For a worthy ruler to sit on the dragon scale throne, I must discover the secrets of the vanishing. I will uncover the identity of the conspirator, whose involvement had been torn from the pages of Coral's Confidant's Chronicle. Belief 2. There is yet enough fire in the hearts of men to steer a course over dark seas. Answers await in the Valley of Fire. I will uncover them. And the third belief, as the last member of the Nethesian Eye, I stand responsible where they no longer can. I will understand the powers wrought on Candlemere and bring them under my control.
Oh, yes. Good stuff, everybody. Okay, let's...
Before we go, because I know Eric will forget to say it, you can go ahead if you like what you see and hit that new subscribe button that's up at the top of your screen that Eric always forgets that he now has.
That way. I do. It's so weird. I'm an affiliate now, everybody. It's crazy. It's crazy being an affiliate. This is really cool. I like it a lot. So, let's talk about playing now. I don't know. I mirrored my screen, so now it's like, really, I don't know. I'll get used to it. So anyways, all right. So that's our beliefs. Thank you. If you're just tuning in right now, you can hit exclamation point beliefs. I'll do it for you. And there's our shared document that has a list of our beliefs and our instincts as well. That's always updated, so when we come here and hang out and play, if you ever are wondering what our characters believe in any particular scene, you can see that there. Also, of course, I love GM chat, so if there's anything about doing something differently, or like that should probably be a different ob or something like that, that's also cool too. So otherwise that, I just love seeing comments, and we try to chime in whenever we can in chat as well. To give it a little bit more of a fun, chill, relaxing, active experience while also giving you some sweet role play drama. So, without anything else, let's get started. So, part 1, scene 1. Let's get started. Let's talk about you, Mason, because I feel like we ended last time with a little bit not as much spotlight on you.
That's true.
I want to give you first serve.
So, I'm A-okay with that.
Okay, so we know that Sulius is going to have to go in the woods in a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing that happened.
I want to know whether or not you feel like Mason would be advising him on this right now, or if you already been like, peace.
Yeah, that's a great question.
So that's the question I want to know, because like I'm cool with doing either one. Like I have the ideas, but I'm gonna leave it up to you with what you think Mason would be doing, or something else, right? If you want to do something else for Mason, I would totally be down to setting a scene like that, because Burning Wheel's great as a GM. You can let players be like, this is what I want to do, and then we work together and create the scene and go from there. So that's really...
I'm kind of curious if Mason just like dipped out after that argument, or if she actually, or they stuck around a little bit.
So
do we want to remind everyone real quick what that argument was? It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. So we ended like last time we had an argument internally between the three of us. The subject being Mason is going to go across the world, or not across the world, across the country north of us to a place called Skywatch, which is the most esoteric library that they know to exist, in search of some knowledge that is preciously needed for their beliefs and for the safety and security of the realm we're trying to build. Sam's character Aurelius tried to talk them out of it, but was then in turn convinced that it was the right thing to do to go there and seek out this knowledge, and wanted to come with. That culminated in a discussion with AP's character Swan, who wanted us to instead go and start scouring the Null Marshes, which Mason said is a shitty idea and we shouldn't do, which ended in a discussion that Mason walked out of and being like, I'm gonna wash my hands of this. If you're gonna go in there without being prepared for it, I'm gonna peace out of this conversation, right? Like, you do what you want. And Aurelius trying to assert himself to Swan by using the power of God, which turned on him and has instead made it so the what are they called? The Untouchables, our Pitaxia and Quiricias, will die, or at least be divinely cursed, if he doesn't endeavor to venture into the Null Marshes. So that's where we're at.
Yes. Perfect. That is the context of you leaving. So we wanted, so what I think Sam, in fact, I think what we all want to know is whether or not Mason leaves without some sort of like scene with Sulius, or, leaving them some sort of supplies, or, something like, do you let them go on their own? Do you...
So go on.
From my point of view, it seems like if Mason wants to just leave, there's no time for Aurelius to do it, because they left. Oh, yeah. I kept talking with Swan, and then, who knows where they went.
Yeah, but, hey, what's up, Zonalar? Thanks for tuning in. There's definitely, if you storm off to go to Skywatch for months, it's not like you just bring a backpack, right? Like, there's plenty of things you're going to have to get ready to go. So you're probably been around for at least a couple hours.
Well, the Mason was preparing...
it's totally within...
So here's what I'll say, right? Like, the last thing we saw from Mason in the last session was them getting their gear together and setting out. But that could just as well happen 20 minutes from now, as it could be last.
Dude, it's also it's a story, so dramatic. Yeah. You move at the speed of dramatic pacing.
Exactly.
So
looking at my beliefs, I have no need. Looking at my beliefs, I have no reason to stay here. But I know Sam has a belief about Mason, so I'm gonna put this on you, Sam, and be like, do you want to have a scene with Aurelius and Mason before Mason amscrays, or do you want to have that when they return?
So I would like to go the other way, because I still want to have after I get back, I want to have Aurelius go out looking for Mason at some point. So I think it's more interesting if Mason is just gone, but
All right. Okay. Then I'm in with that. So yeah, Mason has received their severance payment, has picked up their stuff, packed their bags, and has set out on the lonely road.
Okay.
With no words of warning. Actually, yeah, with words of warning. Totally. With the words of warning left on a note for Aurelius that simply says, in Mason's handwriting, be careful. Do not be careful. Do not conjure up that which you cannot put down.
Okay, so then you're going to arrive at a slight little fork in the road, Mason, and I want to know whether you proceed to Skywatch, or where you actually steer over to the Valley of Fire for a little bit.
My intention is to go to Skywatch because Mason believes that they're going to go to the Valley of Fire, and they're going to hopefully learn something about a weapon they can use to threaten the gods and get them off their back. And just like before you go on such a venture, it would be cool to know something about what you're doing. So going to the library first and then going to the Valley of Fire on my way back south seems like the idea.
Listen,
Okay.
Mason, you definitely need to know what you're doing at any point. I don't know if Skywatch is going to help you.
That's why I'm going.
Maybe a few years of education.
Yeah. You know what? I see your life paths there. Call me back when you have a student life path.
I do. It's called Noble.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Get smoked.
So then there's a lot of like this large establishing shots of we see we see Mason on horseback, and in the distance we see this very, very large looming, kind of like the Eyrie from Game of Thrones that sits up on a ledge. It's this massive observatory. I want to use the word cyclopean. Because that's actually very on brand for this. It is
clearly
historical.
not built by humans.
Not built by humans. It is this large structure that's been worn down through millennia, right? So it's obviously has parts that used to be very sharp and have been rounded and smoothed. However, like the spires and stuff still all dulled, but some large, very sharp looking angles exist to show that fine craftsmanship has went into this. From a very long way ago.
Does the structure stand on its own? Like, is it just there in the middle of nothing in the mountains, or is there like a settlement nearby?
Oh, no, there's absolutely a settlement nearby. In fact, it's near... let me bring up the map for Brevoy. I'm pretty sure it's on the map. Let's bring us over. To give you an idea. It's called... Oh. I mean, the closest one is Stone Climb.
That's the closest one on the map, at least.
Yeah, it's technically between. So yeah, so let's call it House Orlovsky and House Medved both have settlements near it. However, like it's not a place for trading or anything like that. It's just a large like. It's very easy to go on the path of the road between Eagle's Watch and Stone Climb. It's like you have to go traverse a little bit north around like the bend of like that goes underneath the shadow of Skywatch. So
sure.
like it's like very, very within a well-traveled road, and there's probably like an inn or something near it and stuff. It's not too dangerous.
Yeah, I imagine there's like dozens of towns and villages that aren't on the map, right? So
absolutely. So yeah, there's probably a small little hamlet.
How long it took Mason to? Is it like a couple months? To
this is
travel there?
This is going to be about a month of traveling to get there.
Yeah, definitely.
So like we can just like fast forward that, and we want to just because I think the most interesting thing is what we're going to do actually at Skywatch.
Oh, for sure. I was just trying to make sure I'm getting an idea.
Yeah. So, but I'm not sure where. Is there a reason why you want to know if there's a town nearby this or not?
No, I'm just like trying to contextualize what I'm heading into in my mind. Am I like, oh, here I am at the lonely
this remote monastery?
In
in the middle of the mountains. No. Well, yes and no. You are absolutely going to be away from people, except that Skywatch is clearly like not a week-long journey in the middle of nowhere. It's just a very hard to get to old ruin.
Cool. So I guess like we can cut directly to Mason arriving at Skywatch. What I imagine them doing is just like quickly doing a detour to the nearby settlement and just like getting info from the locals. Just like asking the question Skywatch to several different people in town, being like, what is this place? Do you know anything about it? And just getting the feel of the locals before going there. And yeah, so if you want to lay something on me, like beware for it's cursed, or like, oh, just like talk to the receptionist.
Right. So this is actually pretty well known. So Skywatch, after the fall of House Rogarvia, was sealed from the inside.
Sweet.
Of course, Paul Orlovsky knew that when he was telling you to go there, but he's also expecting you to be resourceful enough to find the way in.
Yeah, what the permission he's granted me is not strictly speaking like, here is the way into Skywatch, as much as it is, oh, you may approach and like head into our lands without being accosted and so on. Is what I understand.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you don't have to be worried about being accosted by anybody going up to Skywatch.
Sweet. All right. Well, So I in that case, I ride up to the building. I ride up to the foot of this massive stone spire, like clearly like alien design, crafted by clearly non-human architects. And Mason looks upon it and for a moment like wonders to the purpose of their mission, being like, this is extremely imposing and intimidating, but it also feels like this is where the journey is supposed to lead.
So you see, so imagine two gigantic, think of like the door into Moria style, like inlaid stone. It looks to be like it's sealed. You can kind of see like where the crease of where these double doors would be, but it seems to be sealed. Your magical sight tells you, and like gives you the sort of like rune depictions of these. This is where the doors are. Just otherwise, just kind of a total monolith. But
would you describe the generally? Would you describe the architectural style of the structure more as Art Nouveau or Art Deco?
Deco, for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. So I approach the entrance. Then I find somewhere I can hitch my horse, and I go up to the structure. And
there's a couple window spots up, maybe like 150, like 50 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet, like every 50 feet or every what is that, like every like 15 meters or so up.
Glass windows or like just openings.
What do you call arrow slits? Crenulants? I don't know.
Shrug. Openings in the wall. Windows.
Openings in the walls.
Cool. I guess my first method of trying to go in would be to like see if I can find a door. Like I want to get in there.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you're at the door. Like you already found the door, right? And I told you with your magical sight, you can see the runes where it is. That's not a problem. But you don't see a way in through this door.
You know what I will do then? Because I suspect that this place is magic as fuck. Just given the nature of its design and so on. I will use the power so that is so useful to me. I will employ the fact that I can see the spirit world. Of course, I will use second sight, and I will behold the door in the magic realm with the lenses of the supernatural, and see if a way in should present itself to me when I can see the ebb and flow of magic.
Oh, I'm sorry, Daniel. I think I already gave you that description by using your second sight.
Oh,
that's what you saw. That's what you saw. Like the Mines of Moria moon rune door outside. Because like to the normal senses, it's just a stone. There's no way in, right?
Oh, sweet.
But to your second sight, you see where like the inlay is of these two gigantic doors.
Cool. Is it as simple as saying melon?
It's right. Yeah.
No. Okay. But is there an indication, like a riddle or a text or a symbol, something that can help me here?
You could definitely try to decode these symbols here, because these are symbols I don't think you've ever seen, or if you have, they're very like you've only seen bits and pieces of these, nothing in full complete texts. This is very old, powerful magic.
Sweet. Yep, that's definitely
so.
What I do.
What I'm saying is that I'm gonna need a roll from you in some way.
Yeah. So
describe what you're doing and let's talk about it.
So my intent here is to get access to the tower. My task, the way I imagine doing this, is observing and scruting the symbols and trying to decipher like their meaning and purpose, hoping that then yields a key to open the door.
So, just to clarify, are you looking for a key to then do something to open the door, or are you just looking to open the door here with this roll?
I mean, that depends, right? Like that element of the fiction I will leave to Eric.
It sounds like you're setting yourself up for the actual roll to get into it.
I feel like I'm not.
No, you're trying to gain access. Let's do this all in one roll. Let's do it all in one roll.
Intent. Yeah. If I succeed, I get in. If not, then complications, and it might be several rolls. Right?
Exactly. All right, let's try to do it. All right, so this is symbology. I think I'm going to do here for fun. I think it's going to be a versus test against the magic casting it that's preventing it. So instead of just a flat ob, I'm just going to say like it's the spell being cast when you go against it. I think that would be more fun.
Yeah. So I have a question for you then. So because that implies that there is a sentience working against me somehow.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yeah. The person who cast the contingency spell to lock up Skywatch when this happens is essentially what's triggered. And so you interacting with it, I don't know how powerful it is offhand, so I'm just gonna make a roll for it. It's a versus test against you. And so anytime you interact it, it's gonna be, it's like that spell is being recast. It's kind of like, imagine a door that when it's tested, it locks. And so like you're testing against that mechanism, so it's doing it each time.
All right, that makes sense to me. I will, in that case, I will roll symbology. I am going to see if I can fork. I know exactly what I will try to fork. I will attempt to fork sorcery, because you described it as magic.
Yes.
I will attempt to fork... I recently opened Obscure History. Is there a venue for which that could be helpful here? Like being aware of some of... I imagine it looking like being aware of the significance of some of these symbols in a historic context, right? Like being not like, oh, this is the symbol for this thing, but this is the symbol for this thing that was used in this context, in this time and place, and did this thing.
There's a space I can give you this, but it's not that.
All right.
This is familiar to your visions. You've seen these runes in your visions before.
What about this?
So I'll give you that for Obscure History.
Oh, sweet. I was also going to argue that Obscure History could be... No, actually, yeah, okay, I'll take that, thank you.
So you're right, you have Obscure History, just that's where you've seen it.
Yeah. Can I argue Great Masters-wise for knowing about the dude who sealed the place in the first place?
No, because the dude who sealed this thing was not someone you knew.
Cool. Then I will use astrology.
Of course.
And my angle for astrology here is not really like, it's not starlight on the thing as much as it is like Mason having read positive portents in the night sky the night before, and therefore like knowing that the fates are predisposed towards them in this endeavor, of course. Which will totally be the case when I roll a bunch of sixes on this roll and not a lot of ones.
So it's an op 4.
Cool. I am going to also take my time doing this for another bonus die.
I got 4 successes on 5 dice. I'm really sorry.
Okay,
and obviously, the consequence of the failure is that this is going to take a lot more time and attempts. You're gonna have to try a different way.
All right. So it's gonna take a long while to find out that I can't do it, and then I'll have to find another way. Okay.
Yes.
How long will this take then? Like
I like that it's going to take some time. It's like you're going to like try looking the symbols and everything you can for like maybe a week, and it's just you're just like what am I missing? Like how long it take however long it takes for Mason to realize that he's missing something.
If that's the case, then if it takes that long, can I jockey for using research?
Yeah, it's a fork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget that if you're going to do it carefully, you're going to take even longer. So
yeah, I will take 1.5 weeks to do this then.
Okay.
For working carefully.
Sure.
And you set up 4?
Yeah. So it's going to be like,
Sheesh.
Okay, so now we're in like year 16 of our kingdom. Mason has just got into Skywatch.
Yes, that is exactly how it's going to fly. So. You know it. All right, I'm going to pour a point of Arthur into this, a persona point.
Okay.
And let's swing it.
Got it.
Just barely.
We tie.
Hold on.
Let's spend some fate.
That one. Hold on. Re-roll that one.
Oh shit! Yeah, there is a
die.
Yep.
Oh.
So fate isn't predisposed to help me here. Let's see what's up. Okay, good. So nothing there. But I will spend a fate to re-roll those 3 6s.
Yeah. Okay. Because this is a versus, so you got to beat that test. You got. Okay, you do.
There it is.
Awesome.
Sweet.
So we see you going over the runes one more time after so like this is a luck roll, right? So you failed a couple times in your research, and then like all of a sudden you get that break, and it breaks through, and we see the doors. We see the seal lined with light, like magical bluish white light seal as the magic and runes sort of fade away. The door reveals itself and begins to creep open inwardly into this very dark, massive chamber, and then we're gonna go to a different scene.
Sweet.
Good shit, Mason. Good job. All right.
So if I can ask a single elaborative question here on the nature of how to open this fucking thing in the first place, is this like there is some kind of gesture and code word that must be spoken to it, or is it like finding a secret lever?
I think it's touching the runes in a certain order.
Cool.
Or like draw or like a trace of it in a certain way.
Cool. Yeah. It just strikes me that I didn't use secrets wise for this, which was dumb of me. I should have forked that immediately, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm good.
You totally could have used secret wises as a link test for that too. But yeah, totally.
But cool.
Yeah. I will make a note. Yeah, we were mentioning what body of work he was researching from. I imagine it was from some of his master's teachings that he had.
Yeah. Mason does have a book of from Master Harkon.
I have several books. Also, I imagine the reason I'm doing research here is based on the fact that it takes like weeks to do. Right? It's not like I'm looking at it and being like, I know. I'm like taking notes about the fucking thing and like shuffling them around in my head and doing a little Sudoku puzzle of Eldritch symbols, right? And being like, how is it supposed to work and what's the significance? And taking a long time to do that, I would argue like is benefited by be good at doing research.
Yeah. And so like imagine, so I think the first thing like so like before we go to the next scene, right? I think the thing that's the most important I want to hammer home about this place is that it's much bigger than it appears on the outside, even in the Cyclopean ruins. In terms of like a massive grandiose scale, it's even bigger than you imagine on the inside. Your little torch or your little light that you have barely illuminates this dark library.
It's like a low angle wide shot, right? Like tiny mason, enormous hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So thank you. Let's do a scene. Do we want to jump over to Sulius or do we want an AP? What do you guys want?
Oh, I don't know.
Who's hungry?
Sulius. Yo,
who's hungry?
Come on, man. Lead these armies.
Alrighty.
Show me magic.
So here's where I'm coming from. I have a couple ideas of things that I want to get done in the woods. But unless something is like gonna happen in the edge when we're exploring the edges of the woods, I think only one of them is really going to be a roll, and you can tell me otherwise if that's the case. But basically, the two real things that I want to do here are at the end, right before leading the Untouchables out, I want to orate to the group. But before that, what Sulius is doing, and maybe we get this as like sort of a scene. Aurelius is very purposefully and very intentionally not doing what most people do when they're around lepers. Like he doesn't refrain from touching them. He doesn't, stay away from them, because if Abadar is going to give him leprosy, he earned leprosy for some reason.
Wow.
So like I think we get like a scene. Maybe there's like a woman who's like carrying like her saddle and like saddlebags, and he like goes and like helps her. He passes by a soldier who has a boot untied, and he goes on his knee and ties the guy's boot for him. Like little things like that. But so the big thing is A, he's trying to learn every soldier's name, and B, though he integrates himself with the soldiers, he very clearly stays separate. He's not gonna like be laughing and joking with them. If they're trying to get him to like come drink and party with them, that's not like what he does. Yeah. He very much stays the priest, but he doesn't shun them or, show.
Yeah, that's disrespect. That's a great intent. This is a role, my dude.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. Like, what is this?
Because you're acting mighty weird to these people who you've never interacted with before. Now you're being all chummy, and they're like, "What the heck is going on?" Right? Like, what are you doing here?
So
you're not my commanding officer, right?
So the only intent I can think of, like, I don't want to win these people on my side right now. The only real intent I can think of is I want to know their names. So I don't really have an intent of fail. I don't have like a failure condition, but if you have a good one, I'm willing to go for it.
Yeah, the failure is that they're going to disobey you, and you're going to have a disadvantage on trying to order these people around or doing anything.
It seems
you
to
make
me,
basically
a linked test to
Yeah.
the eventual
Yeah.
oratory.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, right? It seems to me that what you're doing here is setting yourself up for a better position when you want to engage your beliefs.
Exactly. So therefore, you need to do something to do that, to secure that for you. This sounds like, I mean, like you're just kind of like, what's the word for just like hanging out with people and
carousing.
socializing, carousing. Yeah, you kind of are carousing, like just not drinking. Just you are helping people. This actually could be ritual because, like you said, you are helping people. Obviously, like tying your shoes isn't a religious ritual. Alternatively, it could be circles. Maybe. Right?
You could also, if you're being like, you weren't being like smooth and buddy with people, right? You were being like very priestly.
Right. That's kind of the idea. Like,
yeah, you're priestly.
Daniel will get this, but probably everyone else won't. It's Cao in when he's walking among his troops. Like he's definitely still like not one of them, but like he's gonna help them out. He's gonna like tie someone's shoe when he passes by them. He's, you know what I mean?
You make displays that humanize you from being like the prophet of Abadar to being a person people can relate to.
Correct.
Yeah, How do you think that manifests then? Like in terms of skills employed?
I mean,
is this actually soldiering?
Perception?
Like literally soldiering, like the act of hanging out and being a soldier?
Well, soldiers
I would not think so.
And like,
but that's more like digging latrines.
Yeah.
But like I'm thinking like ingratiating yourself with a soldier could be soldiering. That was my idea offhand. But man, this is so weird because there's no like maybe it's conspicuous. Make yourself known.
I would call it like I personally lean to one of two things. Just like based on the description you're doing, either it's soothing platitudes for being like non-offensive and just chummy.
Yeah.
Or it's a straight up will test. Right? Like
I was thinking perception because like the main intent here is to learn names and just like memorize people's names.
I could see perception too, yeah.
Okay.
That's fair. Like that would be my call at least. Like when a skill doesn't fit, then move a step back to the roots.
Sure. But these people
make up a wise.
Yeah, but these people are going to be shy from you, right?
Sure.
So I think you're going to be against their their will, essentially.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, I mean, sure. What?
Because like you're trying to get their names, and they're being very reticent with like strangers and being like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense to me.
Kind of, just like you would try to convince somebody. You're trying to convince them through your deeds rather than through words, essentially here.
Sure.
So yeah, let's go with this is going to be an OB 3 test to get their names.
Okay, I need to save up some persona here, so I don't know that I'm really gonna be able to spend any. So I start with 6 die in perception. I would argue that I'm doing this carefully based on the way that I described it. I'm not trying to do this in a hurry. I'm trying to like ingratiate myself, not just through my words, but also through my actions. And also I'm like very specifically not doing what they expect me to do in shunning them because they're lepers.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll get 1 die for that. And
how long is this test?
I mean, I expect this is the like 2 or 3 weeks that we're in the woods together. I mean, I don't know how long the patrols. I mean, we were probably ordered
1 week.
1 week. Okay. So then, yeah.
So you don't have a lot of time. So I don't think you're allowed to do it quickly or do it carefully.
Carefully is not patiently. Patiently is let's double check.
So you're not taking your time. I thought doing it carefully was taking your time.
Yeah. When you work carefully, you extend the time by 1.5, and
that's not an option because you have to go out in a week.
So I guess you could argue
unless you're trying to fix that in some way.
I guess you here's I would argue this on behalf of Sam. You could do it like working carefully, but instead of being like, we're entering the woods now, and now I have done this test, it would be like, when this trip is done, you will have completed this test. Like you have talked to these people all throughout the travel, and now that the travel is done and you're done doing the patrol, you have set yourself up to make this roll. Like after the travel is done.
Yeah, I don't want to do that then because I specifically want to orate to them
before
while we're still in the woods.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
you're trying to set yourself up for that orate test, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll just knuckle up and roll some dice here. Oh shit.
So yeah,
Hold
so
on.
perception against Op 3 will. This is to get people's
0.
names and kind of get familiar with the human terrain of the Untouchables.
Oh my god! I'm
Well-
gonna re-roll those 6s.
Well, okay, I mean, all right.
Yeah. Fine.
6 dice,
All
6
the rolls
successes.
today have been really good.
Yeah, that's super good.
7 successes. So I think I get +2 dice for my linked test because I exceeded the obstacle by more than double.
So-
is that the case? Let's find out.
Double
Yeah.
check.
I'm pretty sure that's right. That sounds right to me. So what this looks like is clearly, like they were afraid of you coming near them, but like just like a puppy who's been abused or whatever, you like have calmed them down, and now they're like showing him that they're showing you their belly and giving you little licks like a puppy. Obviously, that's a really weird for the whole like leprosy thing, but you know what I mean? Like they clearly are like, what are you doing? Like you should not be here. Like you can't like don't you know what's going on? In a very like respectful way, like it's for your best that you shouldn't be around us like that, and you're like no, it's okay, it's cool, and and it's they respect you.
I think it's just +1 die.
Okay, yeah, I think you may be right, but
Okay.
as usual, it's like Aurelius, like whenever they're kind of like doing that stuff, he's throwing out his like religious aphorisms about like being he's like about like how he's a healer and like what good is a healer that shuns the sick, that kind of sort of like he's throwing out his little quips, his religious quipping. Let me see if I got a good one for this. So he says at one point, like we see him say it's like almost as though he's quoting, and he says thus truly blessed is the physiker whose craft is to make whole the body, for truly the healer is one with the healed. And if I cannot be one with the healed, how can I be a healer? Yeah. And then then at the very end, like we're like getting ready to come out of the woods, I think it's been like a week and Aurelius has made sure to like keep his head shaved to follow his doctrine, but I don't think he's been able to like shave his face because we're on patrol, and so I'm gonna bring back the reason why I lost my bearded trait, because he just looks terrible. It
looks like ragged,
scraggly. It's like growing in one place and not in another place. It's wispy. It like any bad like descriptor for a beard Aurelius has.
So so let's talk about, because I think we're going to jumping ahead and already going into the stuff in the woods, because there's stuff we need to do in the woods as well. But so let's just talk a little bit more about this perception testing, getting their names and they like you. They remark, because I want to add a little bit social color to this. You've met these lepers before. Now that they remind you so much of the bandits from the first season of your special of the golden chains.
Yeah.
These are men and women from all different walks of life, who, after being shunned for their disease, have heard whispers that Lady Irivetti was taking them in and giving them work and giving them a sort of value to life that was denied to them by their original communities. Right, they were given what's the word I'm looking for? Not meaningful work.
Value,
just value. Yeah, just like human value, like their respect, their self-worth was regained through them. And like you see it in their faces, and just like how the bandits were, a lot of them were given bad deals in life, and I think that's a big, like I feel like that has a certain like resonance to this scene. Yeah, exactly. You realize that these people have had bad beats, and they see that in you, that you're actually genuine with your concern too, and you're not using them, which I think is something very special, and something that really Sulius marks up is once again, what do you call it? Just genuineness. Like there's a genuine faith to you, right? You're the prophet. Like this is the honest. Like there's an honesty to you.
Yeah. There's you could say a holy aura that seems to surround him.
Working hard for that trait there.
That they so
Solid.
and that definitely comes into play here. Like they see that and they kind of cynically mention how like they wish that the rest of the church could see things your way.
Yeah, maybe like one of them like sort of like says that offhand at one point. And Aurelius, you know, he knows the person's name, and so he nods his head ever so slightly and gives like the ghost of a smile, and he says, "I'm working very hard to make that so, Leoneo. The church has gotten away from the most important precepts. I must guide them back." And then, like, maybe that's like as he's like walking out in front of the group as they're like getting ready to leave the woods, and he finds like a small like break in the trees, and with his staff, the staff of Jezreel, he scrapes a line in the ground and steps across it, and then he turns and he looks to the group, and he sort of begins to proselytize. And he says, "Men and women of the untouchables, though I so hate that phrase, I can understand why you have taken it upon yourselves as a name. You have all been given the hardest of lots. It is not an easy thing to be struck with sickness. The man Demetrius Antonin Lucian Arsini Sertova would not have understood. Would not have understood someone who is not born with a silver spoon in their mouth. He would have dismissed you. But I am not that man. He died. The prophet Sulius Aurelius recognizes the greatness in your struggle. He recognizes the hardship you have gone through. And so now I turn to you and I will say earnestly that all who call on God in true faith, who call upon him earnestly from the heart, they will certainly be heard. They will receive what they have asked and desired, although not in the hour or in the measure or the very thing which they asked. They will obtain something greater, more glorious than they had dared to ask. So now I ask you, who among you is brave enough? Who among you will cross this line, will join me in the righteous and faithful?
So there's like I don't think there's a test right here, man. I think it's
Really?
very much, I think there's no, I honestly, you succeeded with like ingratiating yourself with them so much, man. I think it's just one of those things where it's like the man at arms or whatever, like the sergeant. It's like, company, you know, file forward,
I want to push a little
present
bit here.
ranks, and then you see them like march and like the whole in unison go forward across the line.
Absolutely. So I want to push a little bit here.
Okay.
Because I want earnest believers. I don't want people who pay lip service to the faith. Like, I want confidence.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, then that's different. Okay, I thought if you wanted them to follow you, you already got that. But
Yeah,
no, if
no,
you
no.
want that, then let's put dice to it. Okay.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
What's your intent?
My
Yeah.
intent here is to have even one person step across the line and be welcomed into the Abadarian faith, to be a true and earnest convert.
Okay.
Even one.
Never
It
mind.
doesn't, we can make this like a graded test and have me rolling, and it, however well is more people. But I just want at least one person to cross the line and become a true and earnest believer.
Okay.
Become a believer, or like
Yeah, no. Okay, this is cool. Okay. Yeah, let's okay. So this is gonna be against their right? Or against their will of the group.
It starts against the will of the group.
Okay. So
secretly he's trying to convince
3.
the horses. So
okay, so it's
Cool.
3.
So I'm rolling oratory here, I'm guessing.
Yes. Totally for persuasion. Like I feel like that's mandatory.
I'm gonna fork persuasion. I think I would like to fork doctrine. Oh, I also get +1 die from the link test. Almost
Yep.
That.
Yep.
I don't think anything else. I think like he understands that like just throwing out like quotes from like the religious text, which is like what he normally does, and like using things like Abadar wise is not the way to these people's hearts. He's seen that they really just respect his earnestness, and he really does believe that him converting these people is going to save them. So
the consequence to failure here is that you're still going to get converts, but you absolutely are going to get leprosy.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Cool.
Just
gonna
like
get, or
not
gonna
right now.
have to make a test for it?
No, I think you're going to contract it, but like I think it's going to be a while till like shows.
Excellent news. I'm honestly surprised I didn't have to make a fort test against that earlier, or a health test rather. Cool. Base op 3.
I'm saving that as extra twists down the line of this, not immediately. Look at that. That's not a problem at all for you.
So I'm not gonna re-roll these dice for a very specific reason, and that's because me re-rolling the dice is an out-of-character decision, and Sam wants actually only a small number of people to cross the line, so I can actually succeed at what I'm trying to do next.
Okay.
So yeah, does it do some people cross the line for me?
Absolutely. So once again, I think the man at arms then will cross the line. He is a former Gaultian noble by the name. He goes by Laroche. He is kind of like, so like he doesn't wear a flourishing cap like that, like with a feather or anything like that, but he absolutely still has like muted. So Galt has very like ostentatious outfits. Like Count Ronald Swan would fit very well into Galt style clothes. Is it Galton? Is it Gulshin? I don't want to keep butchering it. Do we know?
I know nothing.
Daniel, do you know?
I am not sure.
Sure. Okay.
I think I think it's just like
Galt.
Like
Galton.
pronounce it like as it's spelled, like Galt or Galt or something.
Yeah, but like then is
Galt.
it like the adjective form Galtian? Are they Gulshins?
Great
I have no
question.
idea.
I don't know.
Galtic, because they're based
Galtic.
on Gaul.
Yeah.
I
And you
think
call them
Gaul
Galtic.
is the plural form, actually.
Oh, the Gaul. Yeah. So very very much like Gaul style, like muted clothes. Like he was an officer or a noble at some point, minor, but he steps forward. I think a few other troops step forward, maybe like a half dozen.
Sure. What are I won't make you come up with a half dozen names, but suffice to say that as each, like when Laroche,
They give a name and rank and stuff, right? Like Laroche
Yeah.
steps forward across the line, being like,
well, I think
Frederick
that
Henri Laroche, Sergeant Master at Arms, command, unit squad, blah blah blah, like going forward, and then like a couple other people step forward doing something similar, like name, rank, and stuff
Sure.
like that, like very very like specific.
You don't want to mess with Unit Squad. Those guys are hardcore motherfuckers.
and as as Laroche like crosses the line first, Aurelius like embraces him and whispers in his ear, "You are the first to cross, and that has meaning." And he embraces each one subsequently as they cross, and then
You were the last to cross.
yeah,
That has
well, he
meaning.
says a different. He says a different thing to each of them, But then as the it's very clear that no one else is crossing the line. He turns to the group, and he says, "Though I did say that Abadar waits until an hour or measure of his choosing, the monk Sister Arlene Gracio once said, 'Give light and darkness will disappear.' I bid you kneel. And I want to try to cure them of leprosy."
Yeah, you are.
Sweet.
So I think the consequence to failure here would be really unique and cool if curing them of leprosy does something to the rank and file of the group. Like by curing them of leprosy, it's like you have created a second class of group of people in the Untouchables by accident.
Yeah, that's really
and like
good.
maybe either like they're not allowed to be in the Untouchables anymore because that it's like you don't have leprosy. What are you doing? Like we're serving in the basically this is kind of like a Suicide Squad, and now they don't have to be in suicide anymore.
Right.
So is that the failure consequence?
Yeah, I think that's the failure consequence. I mean, I think if you succeed, it's just that you create some like aspiring officer type people who people can look forward to and give you benefits to converting others, right?
I mean, maybe then. Like I don't want to like die on this hill. I think that is like being too generous personally, but that's my take. Sam, do you have an intent here other than to cure them? It's just
I created earnest believers and their reward for being earnest. And I mean, this is the belief, right? Like earnest believers deserve rewards. Give light and darkness will disappear.
Sure. But it's like if you wanted to be like, oh, now they're earnest believers and now they follow me and not EricVulgaris or something like that. Like don't work your way around assumptions with your intent if that's what you wanted.
I mean, I think that's probably a subsequent role, if anything. I mean,
that's fine. That's fine.
I think curing these people of leprosy is what I'm at right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that too easy of a failure condition? Should I try?
So I was gonna go is full lay on hands, and either way, I'm creating a group of second-class citizens because I'm curing some people with leprosy, and it's gonna cause a bunch of other people to be like, "Wait, why didn't I get cured of leprosy?"
My suggestion was gonna be, by like the classic. It's mentioned in the. It's mentioned in the book, right? Like there is a maybe you like maybe you attract some other power than your god. Right, the Null Marshes we established is like kind of Narissa's turf. So doing that here could totally bring down the Eye of Narissa and be like, yeah, you try to conjure up Abadar, the darkness of the forest comes to eat you. Do something about it.
Yeah, no, what? Let's do that. That's actually a good point. I know exactly what it is, so cool. That's good.
Don't tell me.
I know.
I don't want to know.
Okay, no, I have an idea of what this is. That's going to be good.
What I would like to know is what I'm looking at. Now, normally curing someone of disease is just an individual would just be a straight odd 5. But since I'm curing a half dozen people, maybe we can go by like
6
the resources, the way resources do it, like it's like 1, 10, that kind of thing. So yeah, 6.
Yeah, I think an additional die here is fine. But you're also getting an additional die, I think, because of the camaraderie and things you've done so far to position yourself. So I'm giving you a die advantage to it too.
Can I not have that die advantage so that I can get it?
Oh, sure. Faith test? You can. I think that's perfectly fair.
Cool.
See you there.
I am going to spend my deed point on this to make my faith to a B10.
Yeah. AP, you've been super quiet. Are you good, man?
I'm sorry. I'm very tired, and the lights are really bright right now. I'm playing along. Don't worry. Okay. If you go back and watch the VODs, I've been nodding and occasionally adding silent commentary like fuck Mason and fireball, fireball, fireball.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I will also spend 3 persona to give myself 8 dice of Artha.
Wow.
Because I really don't want to fail this.
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm looking at odd 5.
Got it.
Sweet.
It was supposed to be ob 6, but either way I succeeded.
Yeah.
And that's also pretty cool because in this moment Aurelius's faith advances to B6. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's if you'll let me narrate this.
Mm-hmm.
Like what happens is he bids them to kneel. And then one by one, he like does like the equivalent of like crossing for the Abadarian faith, which I think is like he like touches himself on his like bald forehead, like touches his chest, and then taps the forehead of each of the people in turn. And as he does, they begin to glow with this holy light. They're kneeling before him. And then after he reaches the last one, he like moves back to the center and gestures for them to rise. And as they do, like the light leaves them, and like we see like you can see like this sort of darkness leaving them as well. And, you know, it's not like immediately, like leprosy is not like the type of disease, I don't think, where it's like immediately obvious, but maybe like their color improves a little bit. And like, you know, maybe like one of them who had like a hacking cough is like all of a sudden feeling like a little bit less like they need to die immediately. And yeah.
So I have a question for you,
Works for
Sam,
me.
because I'm a tiny bit confused by the die roll. So maybe you could clarify this for me.
Sure.
Did you say you needed a challenging test?
Yeah, so I accidentally did a base ob 5 instead of a base ob 6.
Yeah, it was 6.
All right,
so
cool.
I'm rolling 5 dice against 6 and then plus 8 Artha, which doesn't impact the.
Sweet. You
And-
want to put faith towards that?
Oh yeah, I will actually do that. Thanks for reminding me that I can.
My pleasure, dude.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help. But what it does do is it does now mean that as soon as I spend another deed point, my faith will be Grey Shade.
Crazy. So good.
So I think Aurelius bids them to rise. And as they do, he says, the 6 of you are now moving into another place in your lives. And as such, I give you new names. And like he walks to each of them. I'm only going to do LaRoche because coming up with 6 names off the top of my head is going to be too hard. And so he'll say, rise, LaRoche, and become Sigonus, the first to cross. And like he like goes to each and like gives them a name and a title that like it is like something to do with like him knowing them personally, because you know we established that he was able to do that.
Yeah.
That's the
Sweet.
scene.
Awesome.
Okay.
So you cure a bunch of them of leprosy and return successfully.
Yeah. Maybe like the next thing we see is like the immediate smash cut of like this group. They like went in like a group of reticent lepers, like not like quite convinced of this guy at their head, and like coming out is this like united force with like the prophet leading the way and like his 6
And now
cured lepers behind him.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'm sorry, AP, but we turned on a
fine.
little bit too much, so
Saw
we're
what
gonna
was
go to our
happening.
break first.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna go to our break. We're gonna come back in 5 minutes and stuff. Pick up where our Count Ron Swan left off. Probably do some more with Mason and Swilius as well. And so stay tuned, and we'll see you on the other side.